Thank you for joining us today for a Q&A with SBA about disaster resources. I'm Jody Keenan, the State Director of the Virginia SBDC Network. First, please let me share that all of us in the SBDC Network hope that you and your families and neighbors are on the road to recovery after Hurricane Helene. I know there is still a lot to be done. The SBDCs are a resource in your community to help you with your business recovery. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us at any point during this period of recovery. We're recording today's presentation and it will be posted on our website, virginiasbdc.org. Due to the large number of participants, everyone's microphone is muted and the chat feature is turned off. But if you have questions during the presentation, you can type those into the Q&A box and we'll address them at the end of the session. We've also enabled the live transcript function, which you can show or hide via your meeting controls. Before I introduce Carl Knoblock, I want to be sure you know who the SBDC representatives are in your community. This team can help you after this webinar and all along your journey to recovery. We have Denise Harmon from the Southwest Virginia Community College SBDC in Richlands, Becky O'Quinn from the Mountain Empire Community College SBDC in Big Stone Gap, Cindy Fields, Virginia Highlands SBDC in Abingdon, April Collins, the Blue Ridge Crossroads SBDC in Galax, and we have an SBDC in Roanoke, the Roanoke Region and New River Valley SBDC. That's Amanda Foster. She wasn't able to be on the call this morning, but you'll be able to reach out to them as well. I'm very pleased to introduce Carl Knoblock from the SBA. Carl is the District Director for the SBA Richmond District Office. And while he's based in Richmond, he is very familiar with Western and Southwest Virginia. He's been working with the SBDCs and other organizations and businesses in your region for many years. I think it's fair to say that your beautiful region of Virginia is near and dear to Carl. SBA is the only federal agency that thinks about and focuses on small businesses every single day. They fund the SBDC program that provides free advising and training for small businesses. They work with banks to provide capital to small businesses. They help small businesses compete for federal contracts, and they are the go-to financing resource for businesses and homeowners and renters after a disaster, whether that's a hurricane, a fire, a tornado, or COVID. Carl has a wealth of information to share about the disaster resources available, what you'll need to gather and prepare to apply for assistance, and how you can find contracts if your business can assist FEMA and the community with all sorts of recovery efforts. So Carl, thank you so much for being here. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Jody. And once again, thank you to the SBDC network, especially those in Southwest Virginia. I can't tell you how valuable you are going to be during this whole process. The one thing I want to start out is we got declared as a presidential declaration disaster, which means that you get all the resources from the federal government coming in. The first one I want to talk about is FEMA, because they are the main resource typically when a presidential declaration happens. And the thing that I want you to understand, that's the first place you want to go in and get yourself registered at FEMA.gov. Get yourself that ID number, because when you go to SBA, they're going to ask for it. You go to USDA, they're going to ask for it. So it's really critical that you get that number. That makes your life easy as you go through the whole process. The thing with FEMA is, number one, they're going to give resources to the United Way of Southwest Virginia. They're going to assist the American Red Cross so they can assist the communities down there as they're currently doing. At the same time, they're going to be looking to get the roads back, get the bridges back, do search and rescue. They're doing all those functions and paying for those services later on to compensate not only local government, but also the state government through this process. And with that, they will also have their prime contractors, people they already have on contract, to come in and do the work. The one thing that they do with this, though, is they do look for people that can help them, whether it's construction, whether it's getting things printed, anything that they may have. They may need a pop-up tent to set up at a locality to assist with things. These things are going to happen, but they only deal with people that are in what they call Sam.gov. That's the portal for the federal government to say, you can do government contracting with us because they know who you are. So that's Sam.gov. And that way, when the prime contractors are looking in SAM, they're looking for resources that are right around there to possibly assist with some of this work. And so just be aware of that. The Apex accelerators, you have one in Southwest Virginia in Richland that can assist you. And I definitely say tap them because they make it easy. And they will also help you make a quick capability statement to say what your capabilities are. And if they're not able to reach them, you can reach out to George Mason University and also to Crater, which is in the Petersburg area, and they'll be glad to assist you. But please let them help you. Don't do it on your own. It'll expedite the process and get you in if you're looking to do contracting with the federal government. Those of you that may already be doing contract work and are having difficulties because of the disaster, please let the SBDCs know. So they can make us aware, so we can let the agencies know that you're having challenges because of the tropical storm. We want to make sure that they know the federal government's going to be serviced, but unfortunately, due to the disaster, it's temporarily on hold. So we want to keep that open channel happening as we move forward with this. So, and the thing with FEMA as a personal aspect is right now they're actually putting out $700 checks for emergency purposes, like to get medications and things like that to individuals when you go into them. These are grants. They also have grants to do minor repairs on your home, but they're not going to be major renovations, just minor. Number two, they do have funds available to like car repairs, replacement of clothing, those type things. Once again, these are grants. And then they also have a renter's one. So if you're a renter and you've lost things, they have a grant available for that. That's why it's so important for you to go to FEMA first to get advantage of those funds that are readily available to you. I know that doesn't necessarily make you complete, but that's the first stepping stone in the process. After that is SBA, and we are the disaster arm of the federal government. So whether you're a business, which most of the time that's what people think that's all we do, we don't. In disaster, we do homeowners, we do renters, we do nonprofits, we do large businesses. So the one thing I want you to understand, we cover the full gamut. So you may have a home that was damaged, but you also have a business. And we want you to understand that with that, you're going to be able to apply for both. So please keep that in mind as you move forward with this. As you see up on the thing, this is the declaration. This is what it is today. That may expand, but the primary counties that you see listed there, Giles, Grayson, Smith, Tazewell, Washington, Wythe, and Galox, these are the ones that get both physical damage loans and economic injury loans. And I want you to understand, these are loans. These are low interest loans. So let me put it in perspective. They're 30-year loans. So you have up to 30 years to pay back. You can pay it off early if you want, with no penalties. A business, that loan rate is 4%. If you're a homeowner, renter, it's 2.8%. If you're a nonprofit, it's 3.25%. So that is the percentage on that. the one thing that I want to point out is any county that touches these primary counties are able to get economic injury disaster loans, and those are only for nonprofits and for businesses. So a physical damage loan from SBA and disaster is to cover, home, typically the main product that you suffer loss with. You can get up to $500,000 to either replace the home or repair the home. That would be based on what you estimated cost of damage is. Number two, you can get up to $100,000 for your personal belongings, appliances you've lost, those types. The internal workings of your home are available, your car, those things. The one thing I want to stress, these loans cannot be used for secondary homes or vacation homes. They have to be your primary residence. The thing is, if you're a renter, you can get up to $100,000. Basically, your place clothes, everything that you basically possibly could have lost inside where you're living, renting that space and all that. Those are the things that are available. If you're a business, it's your equipment, it's your building if you own it. These are all things that would cover, and that's up to $2 million for the businesses. Economic injury disaster loan is working capital. So that's focusing on, your inventory, the payroll, you pay your people, all that kind of stuff. That's where that is used. So you can actually apply for a physical loan for a home, a physical loan for your personal, for your business, and also an economic injury disaster loan. So you can apply for all of them. And that's why we say do as a stepping stone. Go with FEMA. It will help you so far. Then you go to SBA. If you happen to be a farmer, USDA Farm Services will be getting involved, and they will also have assistance available. So you have multiple resources. Also, other agencies, as time goes on and as they learn more, will also potentially be coming in that programs you can take advantage of. The state will be receiving money from the federal government that will eventually trickle down to you. That also may be another resource for funding to assist you. So that will move as we move forward through this thing, because we only got declared October 1, and they're just kind of moving forward with this whole thing, dealing with it. The one thing I want to stress is if you happen to have an SBA loan currently and you're not able to make the payments because of what happened, there are things in the work to that they're working on to be able to assist those people that have a current SBA loan that they're paying back on. So just be aware of that. That is in the works and coming about. Also, I'm hoping by early next week, we will have the locations set up. FEMA has tentatively set one up in Bristol at the Raceway, but there will be other ones being set up in Virginia, and those will be coming hopefully by early next week to start the process. The one thing we want to stress during this is whatever you have document-wise, please get it together. The Small Business Development Centers can work with you to make sure you have everything that you're going to need. The biggest thing is you got to show proof of residence. Where are you located? What do you have? Mortgage or renter's lease, those type things. Your personal identifier, your driver's license, passport, Social Security card, things that identify who you are, that you're a U.S. citizen, and anything expense-wise, the cost of your home, the estimates you got for the damage, all those things come into play. If you've lost everything and you have no records, then what it becomes is we have to start building it. And there are, we can reach out to the IRS, we can reach out to Vital Records, we can utility companies. We can literally start building the whole portfolio to get estimates to build it if you've lost everything. So please don't feel like there's no hope. There is. It just may take a little bit longer to get it all put together, but we can work through this process. And that's what the Small Business Development Centers can work with you closely on. And also they will ask those questions that maybe you're not thinking about. There are cost centers and you just have forgotten because of everything going on in your life at this point in time. And the one thing I want to stress during this time, so many challenges, please take care of your mental health. There's going to be services available to assist with that because we need you whole to be able to complete everything you're wanting to try to accomplish through this process. And with that, Jody, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Carl. We've been sharing some information in the chat, some of the links that Carl mentioned. And then I'll just pop up another slide again with a couple more pieces of info. Sorry, just a minute here. Just reminders to register with FEMA at FEMA.gov. To apply for disaster, SBA disaster assistance, you can visit lending.sba.gov. It's a portal where you start entering your information to determine eligibility, and then you go through that process. The deadline for the physical loan application is currently December 2nd of this year, but it sounds like, Carl, right, they may be extending that. So
yeah, they're looking, and I figure because of the holiday, I'll probably get a 60-day extension.
Terrific. The deadline for the economic injury loan is not until July of 2025. They understand it's going to take time for businesses to get your personal situation settled, and then also to gather all of the financial information that you'll need and to determine what actually is your loss. So that has a longer deadline. If you'd like to meet with one of your SBDC advisors, we can direct you to our main website and request an appointment, and we'll channel you to the SBDC in your area. If you're already working with April or Becky or Cindy or Denise or Amanda, continue working with them. You don't need to re-register. And then as Carl mentioned, to do business with the federal government and with FEMA to sell or provide your services, you need to register with Sam.gov. We hope that we'll be doing some education around that next week. If you're not already familiar with that, and the Apex accelerators are a great resource for you there. If after this webinar today, later next week, or in the coming weeks or months ahead, and you have questions, you can always submit them to our email address, disaster@virginiasbdc.org, and we will get you that information. We'll keep current with changes and new deadlines and new resources, both on our website and through your local SBDC office as well. But you can always reach out to us by email if you have other questions about that. Okay, let's see. I'll go through a couple of questions that we received, Carl. Can you tell us what would qualify your business for assistance if you weren't flooded?
You're qualified under the economic injury disaster loan if you're in the physical area or the contiguous locations, or excuse me, the primary area. You can apply for that for working capital because you're going to probably have lost revenue. Everything may be good, but if you can't get materials to come in for you to make your product or do your service, then that's lost revenue. So you can apply for an economic injury disaster loan.
Okay. And included in that would be, you mentioned lost revenue, but lost inventory would also be able to be
Correct.
factored in. What about employees' lost wages? Is there a way to pay hours that they would have worked had the business been operating?
Yeah, that's figured into your costs with the economic injury, because that's how you basically determine what you charge your customer. So that's included.
Okay. You covered this a bit earlier, but can you just repeat, how will businesses value their losses if they don't have that paper record,
Right.
or even electronic?
Lots of times, yeah, as I say, you have all your records and it gets totally lost. Well, the one thing first, you can actually reach out to a utility company and give you your your monthly payment over the past 12 months. So you have that as a piece from that. If you're leasing your building, you have the agreement with whoever your landlord is to provide. If you've did renovations and you're paying on those renovation costs, once again, whoever did your work should be able to supply that to you. If you have the IRS and the state to get your tax information to rebuild your portfolio that way. You get your EIN number from the SEC, and that's what the SBDCs can do a very good job of assisting you. If you are bringing inventory in, whoever your vendors are supplying you, they have records. They can show you what you buy, and you're able to kind of build your story to figure out, okay, what did I sell on a monthly basis? So it can be built, and that's what the SBDCs are very good at doing.
Okay. We've been talking about businesses and maybe have in mind kind of brick and mortar businesses, but what about a service business or a business that might be, not have a brick and mortar location? Are they?
Well, yeah, they're absolutely. I mean, I'll use a perfect, we have a number of home-based businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And if you, for income tax purposes, you use part of your home and you take as a deduction as a business expense for the space you use, you're able to claim all that under the economic injury disaster loan. And if it got damaged and you're in the primary location, you could do a physical disaster loan.
So if you are, if you've suffered personal home loss and business loss, you can apply for both loans.
Correct.
Okay, terrific, terrific. We've got some questions from maybe our local economic developers. How can local governments and local economic developers give aid or best support small businesses during this period?
The biggest thing that I find, lots of times there's properties that weren't damaged that are currently sitting empty. If those could potentially be opened up on a temporary basis to assist these companies so they can go operational again because of their locality being damaged and being repaired, it can start generating revenue, which helps everyone until they get paid back. That's where the EDAs are really valuable because they have locations that are available. They have the resources that are Wi-Fi ready, those type things that can help some of these companies actually proceed instead of just sitting around and waiting because they have no power currently and things like that. I know that the Mountain Empire SBDC at the Pioneer Center has been a resource that the local businesses have been using to charge their phones, their computers, things like that, just simple things to keep themselves functional so they can still at least be trying to do business during this very difficult time. Right. So that's the biggest plus they have. And then they will also hear of opportunities coming their way, and then just working with the federal and the SBDCs, communicating that so we can get that message out to the businesses. Because we know a lot of businesses, lots of times the EDAs only know the ones at physical locations. They don't know all the ones that are sitting at home or in a garage and those type things. And they're a valued resource. So.
What about if a business is already has SBA financing and they're in the process of repaying an SBA loan, but their revenues have been stopped because of the hurricane?
Right now they're in discussions about sort of like what they they had to do for COVID. They're right now looking at what type of offering they're going to offer as assistance to these businesses that have an SBA loan to try to help them through the process. Also, I want people to know that with the disaster loan, when you get it, lots of times when you get a loan, you immediately in 30 days have to start paying it back. With our loans, basically you have, there's no time frame. In 12 months, you don't have to make any payments because we know you have to get back on your feet. And during that 12 months, there's no interest charge. So basically, it's just sitting there and it's giving you the ability to try to build yourself up. So you, at the point when it does come a year later, you're able to start making the payment.
Can businesses start applying for the disaster financing right now, or do they need to wait
Yes.
until they meet
No.
with someone?
No. They can actually go online and start applying. As I tell everyone, make sure you have all your information because you're going to have to upload that information. And if you don't, then it makes you're going to start and you're going to stop. And it gets very frustrating because you're going to start and you're going to stop and you feel you're making no progress. So I tell everyone, really try to get your information as much as you can together. So when you go in, it's very seamless, it's very quick, and you get your information. Because when you do that stop and go, it kind of starts getting hard where you're at. Did I upload the proper thing? And it delays your application getting reviewed. It just gets pushed off to the side until everything's in.
Okay. Do you have a sense or know how long the review takes from SBA?
If the business, depending on what the business is asking for, if everything is there, that can be pretty much resolved within a week, and there'll be disbursements. So there will be only so much. So say you need it $500,000. You're going to get that in disbursements because SBA wants to see what you're using it for. And then basically you let them know by sending the bill you paid. And so they know that, and then they keep releasing future disbursements based on that assessment. Okay. A homeowner, pretty much, they're fairly quick. That's typically what we get the bulk of in the disaster is homeowners and renters. Those are quick processes. So as soon as that is uploaded, pretty much they're turning those to get those out the door within 48 hours. Everything's good.
Okay. I've just shared again the counties and the contiguous counties that are covered by this disaster declaration, as well as the link for the SBA portal and the 800 number for the disaster team at SBA. So that
and the other thing is that lots of times in the past we've always just been there for that period of time of the disaster, and even though you're still in recovery, the roads are still being built, the bridges are still being built. The federal agencies are pretty much gone. Now we have a new focus, and so we are there for the long haul. So we're there initially, and then we're actually have a regional recovery coordinator. Her name's Maria Arena, and she'll be down there on a continuous basis to make sure that things are being provided and need to be provided. And if not, she's going to be communicating that to headquarters. So they're aware of what's going on. So that's a new change, of being there to make sure that communities do recover versus they're only partially covered. And then we said we did what we went in to do. Actually, we did.
That concludes the questions that I have. I don't think we have any more in the Q&A queue or from Facebook Live. So I'll just remind viewers, if you have questions after this webinar, please feel free to send them to disaster@virginiasbdc.org, and we'll get those answers back to you. Carl, thank you so much for your great information, and the SBDC team, Cindy, Becky, Denise, and April. Thank you for all the work that you're doing out in your communities to help businesses recover. Appreciate having you all today, and good luck, and we will see you again soon.
Bye-bye.